Right, welcome back everybody to 40 Runs Running Club TV and our Beneath the Bib series, a series of interviews one-on-one with runners from the community, going beneath the bib and finding out a little bit more about them. And today we are joined by one of our very prominent members of the club. And don't tune out thinking, oh no, this is Long Run Show, it's the wrong podcast. Because today we have with us Long Run Show host and good friend of the club and always been around for a long time now. We have with us Mr. Ben Slater. Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good mate. You?
Yeah, very, very good. Very, very good. How's things?
Yeah, all right. I'm nervous. I feel like I'm like, oh my God, we were talking about this, and I just think I said to you, I'm really boring. There's nothing there. I was like, this is gonna be a therapy session as opposed to
You're joking. We
anything
got
else.
loads to talk about with you. You're someone that we definitely, when we thought about this series, we had a list of about 40 or 50 people. Thought they're definitely on there, and you, young man, was definitely on the list. So we're just
Oh,
going to jump in and get started straight away. And as we always do with Beneath the Bib, we're going to start off back in the early years. We want to find out a little bit about a young Benjamin, where you was brought up, your school life, what happened to you about your teenage years, just when you left getting into the workplace. Tell us a bit about Ben.
oh wow. Okay, so yeah, so born and raised in Northwest London. I always say whenever I say London, I revert into a bit more of a London accent. So yeah, don't know why that kind of happens. Um, And then, yeah, school interested. I mean, I yeah went to an all boys school for secondary school, uh, which was good. I was quite studious, and I got an older brother who's 2 years. So tend to find I don't know if it kind of resonates with people, but you tend to get pushed in the same path as like your siblings. So where he was very musical, so played. Sorry, my Cooper will appear at some points. So yeah, so he kind of played cello and piano and stuff. So then I ended up playing piano and violin. It was cool. But I think I was there was always something sporty there, but then just never really explored it. And then I think because at secondary school, like all boys school, and being a bit musical, let's say, um, yeah, bit tough time at points, and um, yeah, as you do, I think kind of got bullied at school, which just generally a bit crap and kind of put me off almost. I'd say probably from 15, I'd kind of pretty much just avoid going to like PE and stuff, and it was yeah, not great because I remember I think I was probably 13 or 14, and we did it was one sports day, and I was like did everything, kind of went did triple jump, long jump, 800 meters, 50, like kind of got a medal, which I think surprised a lot of people in the year of like that I'd done so many of the events. Um, but that probably made it worse in a way, and I kind of yeah, just it just got a bit worse at school really. And so I just kind of withdrew from almost the sporting side and just studied and yeah, kind of moved on from there. Um, when I left school, I started uni, but I started doing maths of all. I say that to you, but yeah, started doing maths at uni because I'd missed a grade to get in and do law. So um, did 6 months of maths and was just like, I hate this. This is awful. So I yeah dropped out uni and started working full time in a supermarket. Kind of worked my way up there, um, and then ended up. I think I'm trying to think how old I was when I started flying. I was probably late 20s when I joined Virgin, um, and did 8.5, 9 years at Virgin, and did my law degree while I was at Virgin while I was flying. I kind of did. I think I did 4 years of partying, um, as you say, and then I was like, right, I need to think about what's next almost, and then yeah, started studying. And it was pretty much flying that I kind of got more into running, or back into running, because I'd be away and it always sounds glamorous, and you'll see Rachel is always away and kind of running.
Mm.
It's pretty it just be like just got time on my hands, what shall I do? um yeah, and just kind of went out for a few runs, and then I think a friend of mine, his sister had broken her ankle, and so couldn't take part in in a half marathon, and he was like, "Oh, do you want her place?" Back, I say back in the day when, but I kind of took her bib. I mean, we're going back like 10.
It
Well, I
wasn't so
left fly.
frowned. It wasn't
I was
so
going to say,
frowned upon back then.
yeah, and I left flying over 10 years ago. So like, we're going back to like pre-Olympics in like London Olympics and stuff, and did Reading half. And I genuinely cannot remember the like my time. In my head, I always thought it was like 1:21, but when you're like, there's no way it was
That
1:21.
would have been impressive. That would
Yeah,
have been impressive.
you're like now I think, and I'm just like, nah, there's no. I definitely was not one. Maybe it was 2:21. That was my first half, but then I didn't really do any races again until I think it was probably. God, we're going back. I probably left flying like in like 2018, 2019, and I remember doing Milton Keynes half in December and turning up with Rachel and not having trained, and just kind of turning up and being like, oh my God, I've got to now run 13 miles, and yeah,
What was
did
that?
that.
123, 124.
Um, I think it was about 2:03, but the weirdest thing was Rachel had stopped to wait for me because she was worried that I wouldn't get around, and I I got to the finish and I'm like, where is she? And then she came through 5 minutes later, really annoyed that I hadn't seen her I mean, whatever pace I'm running, right? I am so oblivious to what's going. Like I'm conscious of other runners around me, but if you went to me, oh, did you see? I don't know. Did you see Big Ben as you were running? I'd literally be like, no. What? Like, well, it's so. When people talk about anywhere we've run, they're like, oh, it's brilliant. 'Cause you see this, this, and this. I'm like, oh,
Did you?
yeah. I just I don't know what goes on in my head when I'm running.
Oh, that's fine. So if stick on this thing for a little bit then. So that got you into running. So how did you first find 40 runs? How did you get into 40 runs community?
Um, it's really interesting. I was talking about this at Extreme yesterday, but it was through Rachel. So I think she had found it and had said to me, and honestly, I was like, oh, affiliated, you get cheap race entries. So that was why I joined, and I that was very early days. Like I remember um meeting like Milton Keynes half. There was very few. Rachel had gone over to say hello to everyone, and I was just like really just a bit shy. I was like, I don't know anyone, and I'd seen I think Heidi and Mark kind of said hello to them at the end, but there's maybe like 10 of us there. Um, but yeah, it was more for discounted race entry. Like if I was completely honest. And then we did Brighton half just before lockdown hit, and it was really windy. So I used to live in Brighton as well. So part of the reason why I won't do Brighton Marathon, don't quote me on this, but why I say now I won't do Brighton Marathon is I obviously got a lot of mates down in Brighton. I used to work in bars down in Brighton, and Brighton being Brighton and me being gay, love Brighton for a night out. So on the Sunday morning of Brighton half, I was still hungover from the Friday night. And I just remember I remember coming off the seafront, Rachel running ahead of me and me going, "What am I doing with my life? Why am I doing this?" But that was the first time I met Coach Al.
Oh, right.
Was then. So that must be like we're going back 2020. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of very early on that I'd have obviously kind of found 40 runs. Um, but then it wasn't until God, it's gone so quick, but like 4 years ago that I probably joined Hartford, I think, and it was I'd met Petra at Watford half, seen Sabrina at the London 10K in July. It was just obviously randomly hot day and kind of said hello, and then I dropped Chris an email. I was like, "Where's my local satellite?" Um, and he said, "Oh, will I come along to Hartford?" Um, it's about a 40-minute drive. I was like, yeah, that's cool, and turned up there on a Tuesday night. I think the first week it was cancelled because it was 40 degrees, so he cancelled it. But rocked up the week later, met Tracy, booked about 10 races, and yeah, I don't know that I've looked back since. But I hadn't like genuinely before that I hadn't been to a meet up. So the big half that year was my first kind of 40 meet up, um, and honestly, I was cacking myself. Like it was, I I was just kind of stood there, and Sabrina, Tobe, like genuinely looked after me, and obviously Chris had kind of said hello, but was bouncing around doing what he does at what he does at meetups, and I think got to the pub afterwards. Um, and I just remember chatting to Big Ben. He was in his run streak,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so we were chatting about we just kind of just chatting about that, and I again that was a really tough race. I met Stella. That was brilliant. She kind of gave me a bit of a pep talk on or I'd kind of got to a water station and was just really, really struggling. In that bit where there's just no one supporting.
Oh God, yeah.
So I saw Stella. She gave me a bit of a boost, and then saw Matt from the London Satellite Car, and he was just like, "Oh, do you mind if I run with you for like the last couple of miles?" And in my head, I was just like, "No, I was like, I really don't want to slow you down." Like this was, I had no idea of pacing at this point. I would go out like
Just run.
yeah, I'd just go and run, and then be like, okay, there's nothing left in the tank. Got to walk because there's nowhere else to go. So yeah, that I really I remember that so vividly. It was probably almost like a sounds weird, but a life defining, life changing kind of moment that I'd kind of you kind of then go right. I found something that I didn't know I was looking for or needed.
Mm,
So
a new path.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Brilliant. That's good. We can. A lot of people listening to this will know you, and they know your achievements, and we know that you're a phenomenally fast runner. You've come on ridiculously leaps and bounds in the last 3 or 4 years. I think it was only about 3 years ago, and I remember running a half with you, and you were just absolutely dying at sort of like I think it was just under about 155, 150 pace, and now you're just like, wow, your marathon sub 3 marathon runner. We know you're going out to Tokyo in a couple of months, and you've got Boston. That's your 6 stars. The
Yeah.
running side of things, it's just been absolutely incredible, and see your story. And a lot of people know it already, so we didn't want to focus on that too much tonight. But what we do want to touch upon is, and when we look at stereotypical stuff, stereotypes, you've just mentioned it. You go down to Brighton, you like Brighton. You as an air hostess, these sort of things. People are like, oh, this is typical. But you're
Yeah.
open about your sexuality, and it's something I wanted to talk about because we don't really talk about it within the running community that much. There's always these issues. You have like race. There's always an issue there somewhere, but I've never really heard of anyone that I've seen negatively. Obviously, I've seen there are groups that are predominantly gay groups that are there for
Mhm.
safe spaces for people. And me and Chris spoke to a guy that runs one of the big ones in Birmingham once, and I don't think we really realised till we spoke to him that it was an issue about running in safe
Mm.
spaces. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that with a few questions. But basically, nice. Have you ever questioned whether like a running space was like safe for you in relation to your sexuality?
Um, no, and I say no because I think I was really lucky to find 40 runs when I joined the club, and then you know met. I kind of had Rachel shielding, and Rachel's such
Mm,
kind of such an ally. So Rachel kind of shielded me a bit, and then meeting Sabrina and Petra, and it was kind of, and then meeting the people that I did, and it was never a big thing for me. I think I found a club that I was accepted into for me. So, but I look back like, and I do genuinely look back and think, my God, what would it have been like had I joined, a different club, for example, kind of local club, and I won't name any because I genuinely have no idea what they're like from a perspective of inclusivity and kind of things like that. But I just think it would be so you my experience kind of growing up as sports because as a gay guy, and I guess you see more now that there's kind of people come out after they've retired, and there's not necessarily people in the public eye. You probably see a lot more now, but for me, 20 odd years ago, that just didn't really exist. um and so I think it was off-putting at school. It was always, when I was doing kind of sports and kind of name, and at that point I wasn't even, I don't know that I knew I was gay, but it's an all boys school and you're kind of just called out for that. So I I think it could have been, if you went into a club that wasn't necessarily as accepting, that actually I think it would almost trigger something. That's the thing is, if we if you have a local club and there's kind of shared space and stuff like that, you're going in and kind of changing and stuff like that afterwards. There's never anything from our club that we look at yesterday, me and Kieran arsing around taking a picture and just kind of grabbing each. Like, I never think, oh my God, someone's going to think I'm trying to convert him or I'm trying to do that whereas that that would always be at the back of my mind. There is times that I kind of, I guess I do worry about that, if that if I get close to people, especially kind of like straight guys, that people are like, oh, it's only because of that, whereas it, that it's not even on my radar. Like it,
Yeah.
so I I think, uh, as I said, I think if you don't find your tribe early on, it probably would have put me off if I joined a club that was just non-accepting of that.
Yeah. No, no, totally understand. So do you feel like running gives you sort of that space where you can be fully yourself? I'm not. You're quite an open person, and quite. I
Yeah.
see a lot of us will see you as confident. I see you as confident. You might not describe yourself so much as confident, but I don't know if there's any other walks in life where you feel not that you're not accepted, but it's a bit more difficult. I'm just wondering if running, in comparison to that, does running give you that space where you can be yourself and not even think about the fact that, listen, I might be slightly different to that person. It's just me.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. So it's really interesting that the confidence is a show from,
Mm,
I think, like, if people kind of meet me, I've got, if you said to me, right, there's a group of 15 of us, we're meeting at the pub, I would want to meet. I wouldn't want to walk into the pub by myself. It just really, and I've probably got better at that over the year, but I just I don't know. It, I'm not necessarily comfortable, but that's not about being gay. That I think I'm a naturally shy person, so I tend to go so OTT. I think from a in terms of, does running give me that kind of space? Yeah, it does, because I think it's a, for me anyway, I see it as as a leveler. We're all out running. It doesn't matter, who you are. So I'm out running, and I'm just kind of out running. I don't look. Yes, there's always comparisons, and you're kind of looking at someone, and you're looking at someone's, potentially someone's time or someone's progress, and you're kind of going, oh, I could do that, and I could do that. But I think it is just a bit more of a leveler. So for me, I'm not out there kind of going, oh, I'm worried that because I'm gay, that necessarily for me, if
mm,
that makes sense. Whereas at work, for example, I kind of work in a company that we operate in like 50 countries. Um, so it just, yeah, with my team, they all know. And hey, I'm in HR. Most people would probably guess, but it's not something I speak about much at work. It's just, because there's countries that we operate in where it's illegal.
yeah,
And through flying, we'd fly to certain Caribbean countries, and it would be that kind of thing of like, I just physically don't feel safe here.
yeah,
Whereas with running, I've never felt that, and it's, I you just you. I don't think it necessarily comes up in kind of a conversation. If you're talking about your running, it wouldn't kind of be that thing where you say, "Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm gay."
mm.
Like, does that
Yeah,
kind of make
absolutely.
sense?
It's almost like
And
you don't want that element of your life to define another part of your life because
yeah,
it's not necessary. It's as you said, it's totally irrelevant.
yeah,
There's no relevance whatsoever with your race, your sexuality, your age,
yeah,
or any of these sort of preconception things when it comes not so much running. Although there is a lot of sports, I suppose, where there are more barriers, but I do find
mm,
running is one where because you can do a lot of it yourself, a lot solo,
yeah,
and there's so many communities out there. 40 Runs, we highlight them because it's our community, it's our club that we love. But there's loads of running clubs and communities out there that are fully inclusive
yeah,
with regards to all these sort of things.
yeah.
And that's what you don't want people to just define you and think, oh, there's gay Ben, or there's Ben, he's the gay one. You want people to say, there's Ben, he can run sub 3 marathon. He's a 6-star holder.
I
That's
mean,
the
they
most
do normally
important
go, "Oh,
thing.
he's the gay
There's
one
gay
as
Ben,
well," but
right?
but
Actually, with that, have you found friendships, particularly within the club, um, and connections, sort of like through running, that have really surprised you? Where you thought, oh, you get that, I don't know, that stereotypical person. You thought maybe they wouldn't be as tolerant, or maybe they wouldn't be almost like my friend. Like when you're at school, probably with yourself, the strongest kid, the toughest kid in the school. Like,
yeah.
well, he's not going to be my friend because I'm gay, or they pick on me, like you referred to about bullying. Have you found that with running at all? And it's really surprised you, and you thought they've really surprised me actually.
Yeah, genuinely I have. Like, and I'm not going to name names
No,
for
no, no.
kind of. So on the female side, my God, we all know. I say we all know. I'm then going into that kind of generalization, but it's kind of, a lot of my friends have like, even through kind of flying and stuff, always kind of females. Is just that kind of,
Mm,
you just kind of. So I guess I kind of came in, and even with Hartford, there's like, kind of a lot of predominantly, kind of females there. So my first kind of experience was, oh, okay, cool, and just kind of going out with the girls there. But actually, the more you might, and that's where I'm saying it. It's not a safe space for me to escape, because I'm not looking to escape from
mm,
being gay. Like that. That's not one. But it's a space where I don't even think about it in terms of, as I said, if I'm talking to someone, I'll give you the example, and he probably won't mind me saying, is Wilco, right?
yeah.
Wilco worked, on, Racing Post. Your typical kind of, if you were to
Yeah.
describe, that,
Middle-aged
uh,
white male. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly that.
like
Yeah, no, I
likes
get
a
that.
pint, goes to the
Yeah,
football, kind of does
yeah.
that. Would you put the two of us together? No, you
Mm,
probably wouldn't. But actually, you see us in Lanzarote, you see it, like,
mhm.
there's that's never a thing between us, of that he's like, oh my God, you're gay. I can't, I'm kind of, certainly from my perspective, I've not met anyone in the club who's kind of been, oh God, he's gay. I don't want to be,
Yeah.
I've got to be on my guard with him.
Mm,
Um, and 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 that's where, for me, it's just, it does, as I said, it when I'm with everyone, it doesn't even cross my mind, and I'm probably so relaxed, which is why maybe I do come across more confident, because I'm just so relaxed that actually I'm not having to hide a part of myself for fear of someone almost using it against me, or kind of going off and being, kind of stabbing me in the back later on, because I think that
yeah.
that's something that I guess in other streams of life, I worry about.
Yeah, I totally get it. We won't dwell on it too long, but just one more question on that, because that last comment you just made actually made me think about that as well. Does it mean a lot to you, or does it even bother you? Or do you think about being almost? Let's talk with the 40 Runs running community. The fact that you are visibly gay runner within the club. Do you feel like you are representing gay people within the club, or do you feel any pressure for that side of things? Because we have a few gay people within the club that are openly gay, and
Mhm,
the same with yourself there. I don't see them as gay people. I see them as runners within 40 Runs
mhm.
running club. But I feel so you with your prominence within the club and doing long run show and being that, do you feel as though you have to represent your sexuality of person within the club, or is that again something that isn't even come across your mind?
Um, I'd say yes and no, and then it's a kind of really interesting one. I kind of think, when we're out, if we're kind of out, and we're on long run show, and stuff like that, not particularly. We're kind of talking running, if it comes up, and I kind of give that perspective. I think there's times when, and I kind of use this, and you know this. I flagged a couple of things to you
Yeah,
that I've seen that have been made as, and there's genuinely no malintent behind some posts that I've seen, but I will flag to you, because I think
it's true.
I've got enough of a relationship with you, and I would flag, and I would challenge someone, if someone made a comment. That's when I feel that I do need to stand up, because I think I've got enough of a I think I expect it of myself, and I'd kind of do it anyway. But I think I've got enough of a kind of presence, that if I said to someone, look, that isn't acceptable because of X, Y, and Z, that actually someone would kind of stop, and I'm not there just kind of going, almost, and I don't, kind of waving the flag just for the sake of
Mm,
waving the flag. I'm doing it. I try and do it from a, that might make, what, it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable, but and I've said it to you, I can see why that might make someone feel uncomfortable, but they might not have the confidence to be able to say, I don't like that. And so that's where I see that duty, but, or I say duty, or that kind of,
I,
that's what I
I
want
I
to
think I
do, and kind of
totally
represent
agree.
it.
And I remember the comment that you were talking about recently, and it wasn't particularly a really nasty comment, but it was a comment you said. this might not be read by people correctly. And me being a straight, white, middle-aged male, once you pulled up to me, I went, absolutely, you're right. But it wasn't something that I would read and think someone's going to be offended to that because that isn't on my radar. So no, and absolutely. So that answered the question absolutely
And
brilliantly. And
but
it's
equally
great.
from that, I have to. It, I probably read that 3 or 4 times before I sent it to you
Mm,
because I'm thinking, am I being overly sensitive here?
mm,
And I think I even said it to you. Look, I want to flag it because I think, but you might come back and have and I'll
mm,
happily have a conversation with people about it. And it's I don't necessarily I'm so hard to offend, like genuinely. You would like I don't know that what anyone could say to me that would offend me. Probably more about my running.
but you're running
I was
form.
just I was gonna
You don't.
say maybe about my running form. I was gonna say you'd only offend me if you slag my running off. Me being gay, yeah, hey, whatever. But genuinely, I don't take offence to much, and so but I see things and I just kind of think, I think we're sailing a
Mm,
bit close to the mark for that someone else who maybe isn't. And this is where I'm confident as a game, like I'm confident in my sexuality, right?
yeah,
Confident from that perspective. As a person, uh, as we all are people, am I confident in in certain situations? Absolutely not. And I think it's the air hostess in me is that kind of thing of you cannot get away, you have to fake it,
mm,
that is, and working in HR, I have to put on this, I have a work voice, I have a work smile, and I'm just like, great, everything, and as much I might have had the crappiest weekend, but on a Monday morning I've just got to be like, hey, everything's great, and this is,
yeah. But again,
you know
that's life, isn't it? We're all
yeah,
whether you're straight, whether you're gay, whether
yeah,
you're old, whether you're young, black, white, whatever you are,
yeah,
we all do that to an extent, especially on a Monday
yeah,
at work. So no, it's
yeah,
absolutely fascinating. So if you come off your topic, just for the last few minutes, we need to talk about your allies within the club. So you talked a lot about Rachel. Rachel's a big
yeah.
part of you getting into running, you getting into
Mhm.
club. But also, we're going to move on to Tracy
No.
because you and Tracy and your relationship you have is absolutely brilliant. It's funny. She's followed you around the world with this majors trip as well. She's been a real, if you can call someone an ally, a friend, she's been there. Tell us a bit about Tracy, your relationship with Tracy.
Oh, I love Trace. So Trace was there on the first Hertford night that I went to. So she got me to sign up for so that I signed up for Big Half that that night. We were sat in the pub and then she pulled out injured. And I remember crossing over Tower Bridge. She was just before Tower Bridge. She was like, yeah, and I was like, I hate you right now. Um, and the rest, the kind of rest is history. But no, no, it's kind of I don't know. We genuinely just clicked. You meet people and just we get on. We do just get on so well. I remember at North London there was one of Tracy's friends had come along and didn't know I was gay, and Tracy had said to her that we were going to the cinema, and she was like, "Oh, well, what will Neil think about that? You're going on a date with another man." Tracy thought it was hilarious, and then I wasn't allowed to tell the person that I was gay for about a year because we wanted to just keep kind of, kind of winding her up. Tracy is kind of is me in 20 years, I think. That kind of the person who likes to take the piss, the person who likes to have a drink, doesn't necessarily take things too seriously. But
Mm,
equally, from a Tracy perspective, and as I said, there's a lot there's probably a lot that we, and I say probably
yeah,
a lot we don't see.
yeah,
We know certain things in Chicago, and just from that. But actually, Tracy will, if you ever need her, she'd be there to her own detriment sometimes.
yeah.
But yeah, she's been, gosh, she's come with me Berlin twice, Chicago twice, New York. Obviously, she literally flew out the morning after
Pet
Sabrina's
Sabrina's wedding,
wedding,
wasn't it? Yeah.
and then she'll be in Boston. I need to check on the room. So for for those
We won't go
for
into the
those
room situations with
I
you
was
and
gonna,
Tracy.
I was gonna say Tracy seems to love. I book all the hotels, and for some reason, we always have a see-through bathroom door or bathroom wall, and we get into the room, and Tracy's just like, "What? how is it only for some? I've just got a knack of booking a hotel that you can see straight into the bathroom, and we've got to. I've told her in Boston we're having a roll top bath at the bottom of the bed. Um, if that actually happens, I mean,
Don't
it
tempt
would
fate. It
no,
could easily happen.
exactly. But no, I have to say, Tracy's kind of, as I said, one of the first, and then yeah, just we tend to chat. She's always in my frequently contacted on WhatsApp.
I bet
Um,
she is. She's a phenomenal person. The
yeah,
support she gives everyone, and she's a great runner herself, and she's done a
yeah,
lot of stuff, a lot of achievements. She's a brilliant person. Just before we
yeah.
go, read last, it would be wrong. Is the wrong word, I suppose. It would be detrimental to him as well. We need to talk just a real quick little few minutes about Fordy himself and how he has helped bring you on as a runner. A lot of it, obviously, as we all know, you have to be dedicated yourself. But how much of an influence has he been of you getting from that first 340, 350 marathon to now running two sub 250 marathons?
I mean, it's a it's a hard one because as you said, you kind of you have to do the work yourself. But
Yeah,
actually, and I say this with marathons, it's 99% up there, right?
correct.
The legs will just do it. It's 99% up there. And the one thing, and he will tell you, the one thing I always say to him is, I wish I could give him. I'm stubborn as anything, right? So when I hit that kind of mental or the wall in a marathon, the stubbornness in me just kicks in. And I kind of say to him, I wish I could just give him that the confidence that he's given me. I wish I could give back to him because I've kind of said to him, I remember, yeah, vividly, we'll have a London Marathon 23. That was my first marathon, and we were at the start together. He's like, right, we're going out at this pace, and it was quicker than I'd trained, and I was like, oh my, no, I just can't. And he was just like, just get on with it, and you're kind of like,
Cowboy
oh
up.
my, yeah, basically. And I'd probably known him what 8 months at that point. And we hadn't really run together. Like I don't think I'd done any of my long runs with him into that was the block I did by myself, and then I started running with him, most weeks. Um, but I remember probably a year after that, I said to him, "Oh, do you think I could?" We were talking about someone and how they could do sub three, and I was like, "Just, do you think I could do sub three?" And he's like, "Yeah, if you pull your finger out and kind of." And that was it. Was just so. I think with Chris, he's so you really see the pride in him for his runners, and that it's more about them sometimes than it is about him. And actually seeing where he is now and
Yeah,
the almost the confidence and the determination that he's got, I kind of sit and I kind of and I'm so happy for him because what he's given me in terms of that, confidence in running, but also confidence within the club really.
yeah.
So I think he's had a huge. I mean, for for love nor money, he ain't ever going to improve my running form. I mean, when we do drills at Hartford, he sits there and I can see him just going, "How the hell does this guy run?" As he run, like I'm trying to do A skips, and he's just like, "That's not how you do it," and everyone
They're
else
not.
is
They're
like,
not easy to be fair. They're not
"No."
easy.
But everyone else makes it look graceful. I'm just there almost flat on my face, and you can see him just going, "I coach this guy? Like, what the hell is going?" When you're just like, this is ridiculous." But yeah, he's made it. He's made running really enjoyable for me, and kind of, and as I said, given me that confidence that I can go out, and if you know, I know it's nice because I feel like I've helped him in terms of driven him on a little bit as well, and if a little bit of payback for him is great. I mean, you saw him at Park Run yesterday. He
It
was
was
in. He
fantastic.
was he
It was in
he was
form.
flying in front of me. It was
It
so
was.
funny because everyone was turning around going, what's going on? I was like, oh, I peaked. It's fine. I'm done.
He was on fire, as you said,
Yeah,
and we go back to everything with and comes up quite a lot with beneath the bib. A lot of running, a lot of performance is confidence, and
yeah.
once you can unlock that mindset and have that confidence, thinking, do you know what, I can do it. Of course, I can do it. Why can't I not do it? And you get that confidence, and who knows, the sky's the limit. And you are absolute testament to that.
And I was just about to say, and that's it. Whatever walk, and that's what I think is special about the club, right? And the kind of biggest takeaway is you will get your confidence from everyone. It just like everyone just gives you confidence, to give you the belief that you need to achieve what you want to achieve, whether whether it's a marathon, whether it's a 5K, whatever it is. Every single person in this club is a cheerleader for everyone else. That's what I think is so unique and special that we have, that when someone says what's 40 runs, and you're just like, look at the cheer station at London, look at the finish line at Park Run yesterday, and on all the extremes, like the wall of noise, it's, you just can't describe it, and people have to see it almost to believe it. But that's what we are. We're not a run we are a running club, but we're more than that. We just kind of embrace everyone and just lift. That's the, I think we lift everyone up, and that's what life's about, I think.
And there cannot be a more perfect way to finish. An absolute fantastic beneath the bib with yourself, Ben. Honestly, it's been an absolute privilege to talk to you today and have a good insight into you and yourself. It's been brilliant, absolutely love. It's been our longest one so far, 35 minutes,
God.
but it was worth every minute, mate. Honestly, it's absolutely fantastic. Really appreciate you, and we appreciate you in the community, and wish you all the luck in the world with Tokyo and Boston, and that's 6 stars. And hopefully, you might be out in Tokyo doing a bit of work for the 40 Runs Running Club TV. You don't know yet. That's coming up. Ben,
Thank you,
once
mate.
again, thanks a lot. Really appreciate joining us. And everyone else, don't forget to tune in same time next week, where we will be with another member of the community beneath the bib and finding out about them. Thanks for watching. We'll catch up with you soon.